Hi everyone, my name is DraganEror. I'm a Drupal developer at MD Systems. I'm from Serbia, from Novi Sad. I work with Drupal almost 4 years. MD Systems is open source Drupal development company, and they have many contributed modules on Drupal.org. One of their modules I will represent today. It's named TranslationManagementTool. It's built to improve translation process and make it more easy. The idea of this module came from Miro Gettiker. He's author of several modules on Drupal.org. Most known is Simple News. I think everyone knows about that module. Today I will not show you and I will not talk about backend and technical stuff and how this is built and how it's works. I will talk just, I will show you actually user interface and how it's works. I will just scratch on the surface so you can see how it works. First I will show you how to create node and automatically translate that node with the Microsoft Translator service. I have already configured everything on my server, so there is a very good documentation for this module on Drupal.org. So this is basically just steps from that documentation, so everyone can easily set up home server and do the same at home. First, I will show you how to translate a single node. Important thing is that you must choose language for your source language, for your source content. If it stays language neutral, it will not be shown on the translation jobs list. You will see. When you make source content for your website, just go to Translation tab, select language, and request translation for that language. Translation job will be created. Here is a label for that translation. You will see later in the list the name of translations, of the jobs actually. Here is the source language and target language. There is totally 6 words. From the combo box, you choose your translator. Currently, there is installed just Microsoft Translator because using that service is you don't need to pay that service. It's free. Instead of Google Translate, you should pay. So just submit to Translator. And go to Translation Management. It's actually in configuration and the Translation Management. There is list of translation jobs. Currently there is just one job we just made from this module. It's in progress. Click on Manage. And you need to review translation you've got from Microsoft Translator Service. There is currently two fields, body field and title field. And you can review text you got from machine. Actually, this is good to check every time when you use machine translators, because they are not so good as human service. You can check by one approve translation, or just approve all button, and you can see your translated content here. Single note. There is French version. You see. Same steps you just repeat for next language. At the time you just can you can create job for one language. It could be multiple translations, multiple nodes, multiple multiple entities, but for one job. You will see later. Request translation again, choose translation service, submit to translator. There is also colors of progress. I will show you. On these slides, I will make it available for everyone later after this event. So there is steps you can repeat again at home. So just looking for this image. So these are stages for translations. Can you see? This is pending. Blue, it's blue color actually, not because inverting colors. This is blue color. Green, it's translated, and yellow, it's for reviewing. This pie chart just show you how many items there is translated and how many of them it's approved. You will see when you use multiple translations. I will show that just now. Create multiple nodes. This is the first one. Language is must. This is second. Yes, thank you. So, when we want to translate multiple items, just go to Translation Management. You will see the Jobs tab, actually not, at the node sources. You will see source nodes, so you can tick every node you want to translate and just request translation. Then you choose language you want. As I said, you just can choose one language per job. You will see for every translation it will be created a job with one or multiple items. This time will be created one job with 3 items. Submit to the translator. So when you go to jobs, you will see just one job. But when you go to manage, you will see 3 items. 3 items for 3 nodes. You can do reviewing one by one. Actually, you can just save a review. You don't need to finish a review. And someone else, if you don't know how to do reviewing for additional field, don't know how to translate it to be a good translation, so you can just save it and someone else can come back again later and continue work. So now when we go to translation management, and you will see here it's show you how many items is translated. It's actually translated 66%. Or you can go to translation management, node source, and select. You can hear jobs. Select job you want with multiple items inside, and from operation list you can choose accept translation, and it will be accepted every translation for every item inside. You don't need to go for every translation and do reviewing, just you can accept. So this is it. There is also status for languages. This is node source. You see, there is color for every language. As you can see, colors are inverted right now, but source language is always white or very light gray. Translated language is green. Not translated is dark gray or black. And there is one other need review. It's something else. It's need review. It's yellow. Yes, also you can override the label. Here at jobs you can see labels are created automatically from language source and language what you want to translate. You can edit that for easier translation. It's usual thing that there is more than 100 jobs at least, and you just don't know which one is which, so it's good to rename it. So there is a renamed job. On the job, there is item list. Also, there is messages for every action you have done. There is a message for that. Translations can be accepted automatically. If you use some service like MyGengo, which is a human translator, they have own reviewing people, reviewing crew for every translation, so you don't need to review every translation, every job item by your own. In that case, you can just set translator to be accepted automatically. So you just go to translator and just for your translator set that tick box, so every translation from that source can be, that service actually, that can be automatically accepted. Then you don't need to review. Also, you can do it manual translation. Translations can be exported and imported. I will not show you exporting translation, but I will show you how to import already translated text into your node or whatever. Create content. Translate to French, request translation. And for translator, just choose file translator and choose XLIFF, submit to translator. From translation management, go to that job. On the item, you will see progress, and you can see below it option to upload your file. So you can choose your file, translated file to import. Translation management is built on Drupal, how to call it, on Drupal structure, modular structure, so you can build your own translator if it doesn't exist already. You can translate every type of Drupal content, text, nodes, entities, strings, as you can see, menus, terms, everything. It's very pluggable, so there will be, and there is already exist many submodules for translation management. Currently, it's stable Microsoft Translator, MyGengo, which is human translator, and included in the translation management suite file export and import. So, requirements for this module, it's entity, views, Chaos tools based for views. Everything is built in views, like Drupal comments. Views bulk operations, content translation, locale, rules. Internationalization module just needs to be enabled if you want to translate strings. Entity translation needs to be enabled if you want to translate some other entity types or fields or whatever. Comments or something like that. Translation management server. It's extended architecture with server support components. Translation management jobs can be passed from translation management clients to translation server and back. Translation server can be used for translators, translation companies to get translation jobs from Drupal installations. This translation server gives you ability to use integration with Drupal converts and get money from people who want to use your translation actually. So everything is integrated with Drupal converts. There is also, I just copied this from one discussion. It's commented by Gabor Poitsi. Everyone knows who is Gabor. He mentioned in his sentence that this is like Drupal converts for Drupal translation. This is very huge project, very complex. I'm not the right person to talk about backend stuff and how everything is works, so you should actually listen Miro's presentation. Miro is the author of this module. He's the author of IDEA actually. I think this is it. So these are links for resources. You should visit, if you want to see more, you should visit documentation, which is very, very good. And thanks to Christoph Gali, which is the guy who created the documentation for this documentation. There is also video on Vimeo by Christoph itself. It's 5 minutes video. It's something like this presentation, show you just how to translate one word. There is also on Empty Systems blog, you can find a presentation by Miro on Drupal Developers Days in Barcelona. And there is also discussion on the Drupal groups about translation management server. You can use that. That's all. Any questions? Good.
One question. Can you use this module to translate the content by the Drupal site itself? Something like from left side you will have original text and from right side you will have translated text for people that will translate the content directly on their site.
I'm afraid I didn't understand your question.
There is a content on the original language.
Yes.
And the guy comes to the website
Yes.
and wants to translate that.
Yes.
So is there any way that he can do it like having on the left side original text and on the right side, I don't know, box that he will put or she will put the translated text? Something like that.
You asked me about the user interface for translation or what?
Something like that, yeah.
There is in how can you see When you go to Job and Manage, this one, on the review, there is source on the left and translation on the right for every field. This is body field and this is delta null. First body field. So as you know, in Drupal 7 you can have many fields as you want to. Yes?
Maybe I can answer that question because I wrote that. So.
Yes?
Well, there is a module in the server suite that he's been talking about. The server itself is an instance of the same module. So the server itself is a client at its core as well. So it shares the same APIs. And because it shares the same APIs, the same process of sending a translation to the server and having it translated there through a user interface also works locally. So you don't have to send the translation to a remote server. You can also send it to your own environment, to your own site, and have it translated locally without
your own user interface.
Yes, well, the user interface exists as part of this module. There has not been much work going on around that module lately, but it is part of this server suite that we have been talking about. So yeah, there is a possibility to do so. The user interface is not very nifty yet, but it's working, and you can try it out. It's called local translator, as far as I remember correctly.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I can give you the link later. I will look it up for you.
Yeah. So, is there any? Since I don't see anything data that is related to the context where this content exists. For example, what kind of content type is, or where in the web page is located this node.
So in that user interface is really simple, as I said before. It is basically just a view, a table of translation jobs that have been thrown at your, back at your site into a pool of translation jobs. Okay, and you can click on that translation job. You can navigate to the original piece of content that is being translated. Yeah. So yes, you can return to the original piece of content.
So is that also for the interface, translating the interface?
Drupal itself.
Yes. So you have to think of it as this: every piece of content that is translatable is a translation resource. Everything is a plugin. So, for example, a string would be a plugin. Translating strings would be a plugin, string translation, right? And on the plugin class, it's object-oriented PHP. There is a method which allows this plugin to return a link to the source. I'm currently not sure if the string returns the path to the admin page where you can see the original string, the original link, but I'm 100% sure that it's the case for content. So nodes, entities, etc. Yes.
Also, I just showed you how to translate one node. In this example was two fields, body and title. You can build your own entity type, and you can create and attach for that entity your own custom fields, and you can enable translation for any kind of that fields you created. So it's I can show you that, but I think it's not necessary. So you show it same as the translation of node. Yes.
How about translation of node URL? Is that possible?
I think not. This is just for content.
Sorry?
This is not.
Node URL, it would be nice.
Of translation of what? Sorry.
Node URL, the new node, the translated node. I mean, if you don't want to have a node which has URL node/node ID, but you want to have the translated URL also.
When you create your own alias for nodes and pets, this will be created automatically as the same as you create new node in any text with the title and save it. It will just start trigger for saving nodes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's automatically, it's based on your configuration of that. Any questions? Yes?
Does it work both with the entity translation system and with all styles, so to say, internationalization translation system when the whole node is translated, or just with it? With no difference.
I don't know the difference. I don't know. I don't understand the question.
In entity translation system, the fields are translated, and in internationalization system, previously the whole nodes were translated.
This is based, so I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, I know.
This is not a replacement for internationalization module, so just you need to know it. It merged. It used internationalization also for translation of strings. So it's not a replacement. So you can use both module on your website, and it should work. So is it answered your question?
If I do not have entity translation enabled, yes, I have used previously system of translation of internalization.
Yes.
Can I use also this module to translate my content?
Yes. Yes. Sure.
Yes, I can.
Sure. It's just not built to cover Drupal 6. It's from Drupal 7 and Drupal 8 will be covered. I don't know is that your site built in Drupal 7 or
It's built in Drupal 7, but it just doesn't use the entity translation. It uses only internals.
yeah, you can use it freely. So
Okay, so this is basically extension to the internationalization model, right?
it's not extension. It's how to say it?
Workflow management, automatization for
Okay,
managing the translation process.
Yes, it's for managing translation content.
so it uses the same tables in database?
No,
or no?
custom. That's it.
Okay, and how do you translate blocks? Can you translate block content within?
Block content. Block entity? No? You cannot.
Well, you can write a plugin for doing so. So if, for example, if internationalization module has something for translating blocks properly, then you can translate it into a plugin easily, yes. Creating those plugins is quite simple, actually. So everything that is in Drupal, as long as it is translatable in Drupal, you can provide a plugin for it to be managed by this module. Yes.
Okay, and can you, and what about reference fields?
That is a good question. We discussed that a lot. Automate, so you're basically asking how to automate translating references.
And
So
to connect
yes,
automatically English
we didn't
with
solve
English
that.
and-
Yes, we didn't solve that problem yet. Usually, what you would expect is when you hand it a node, for example, and that node has an entity reference field to a different entity, and you want to automatically translate that node through Microsoft Translator, for example. What you would expect is that it also translates the reference entity type or entity, right? It doesn't do that yet. We discussed that already. I think that is an issue on the issue queue for the module as well, and it makes sense to implement that. Yeah, I don't think it has been done yet.
Okay, thank you.
Is it all? Thank you.